I can't tell you how much I appreciate the three people standing next to me here for what they've agreed to do to help, particularly my best buddy, John Kerry. Asking a former Secretary of State to come back and do this has been as I know there's a big ask on the part of myself. I was going to blame Kamala for it as well, but for both of us. And but John's been deeply involved. The Secretary's been deeply involved in climate issues as a senator and one of the leaders legislatively as well. And I don't think anybody knows more about the issue and the damage that's been done by some of the executive orders of the previous administration. Today is Climate Day at the White House, and which means that today is Jobs Day at the White House. The federal government owns and maintains an enormous fleet of vehicles, as you all know. With today's executive order, combined with the Buy American executive order I signed on Monday, we're going to harness the purchasing power of the federal government to buy clean, zero-emission vehicles that are made and sourced by union workers right here in America. With everything I just mentioned, this will mean 1 million new jobs in the American automobile industry. 1 million. The executive order I'll be signing establishes a White House Office of Domestic Climate Policy, and it'll be led by one of America's most distinguished climate leaders, former EPA Director Gina McCarthy. As the head of the new office and my National Climate Advisor, Gina will chair the National Climate Task Force, made up of many members of our cabinet, to deliver a whole-of-government approach to the climate crisis. It's not time for small measures. We need to be bold. So let me be clear. That includes helping revitalize the economies of coal, oil, and gas and power plant communities. We have to start by creating new good-paying jobs, capping those abandoned wells, reclaiming mines, turning old brownfield sites into new hubs of economic growth, creating new good-paying jobs in those communities where those workers live, because they help build this country. We're never going to forget the men and women who dug the coal and built the nation. We're going to do right by them, make sure they have opportunities to keep building the nation in their own communities and getting paid well for it. While the whole-of-government approach is necessary, though, it's not sufficient. We're going to work with mayors and governors and tribal leaders and business leaders who are stepping up, and the young people organizing and leading the way. My message to those young people is you have the full capacity and power of the federal government. Your government is going to work with you. Now, today's executive order also directs the Secretary of the Interior to stop issuing new oil and gas leases on public lands and in offshore waters wherever possible. We're going to review and reset the oil and gas leasing program. Like the previous administration, we'll start to properly manage, unlike it, we're going to start to properly manage lands and waterways in ways that allow us to protect, preserve them, the full value that they provide for us for future generations. Let me be clear, and I know this always comes up, we're not going to ban fracking. We'll protect jobs and grow jobs, including through stronger standards like controls from methane leaks and union workers willing to install the changes. Unlike previous administrations, I don't think the federal government should give handouts to big oil to the tune of $40 billion in fossil fuel subsidies. And I'm going to be going to the Congress asking them to eliminate those subsidies. We're going to take money and invest it in clean energy jobs in America. Look, this executive order I'm signing today also makes it official that climate change will be at the center of our national security and foreign policy. As Secretary Kerry, as our special presidential envoy for climate, with him, the world knows how serious I am about by appointing one of America's most distinguished statesmen and one of my closest friends speaking for America on one of the most pressing threats of our time. John was instrumental in negotiating the Paris Climate Agreement that we rejoined, this administration rejoined on day one, as I promised. And today's executive order will help strengthen that commitment by working with other nations to support the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change and to increase our collective resilience. That includes a summit of world leaders that I'll convene to address this climate crisis on Earth Day this year. The first order I'm signing is tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. This next one, for restoring trust in government through science and integrity and evidence-based policymaking. And this last one is the President's Council on Advisors on Science and Technology established.